This is Abdul Saad, clinical psychologist at Vital Mind Psychology here in Sydney, Australia. And today I come to you with a video on understanding the three types of empaths, or the three levels of functioning within the empath personality. This video has been motivated by a lot of the questions and comments that pop up on my previous videos dealing with empaths and narcissists about the distinction between empaths and codependents. So I wanted to clarify today in a more sophisticated form what I mean when I use the term empath in my videos, and how we can, in a more detailed way, delineate you can think of it as three different types of empaths, or three different levels of functioning within the empath. So let's begin. The first category, and again, this is occurring on a continuum. So although these are discrete categories, people aren't always going to be fixed on or functioning at one level all the time. So with stress, people can move up and down, but as people become more in the unhealthy pathological range, going into codependency, it becomes a lot more difficult to go back into a healthier level of functioning. So with the first level, which is the healthiest level of functioning for the empath, and at this level, this is what I call the authentic altruist. At this level, the empath has a very high level of self-awareness. They're very aware of their internal motivations. They're very aware of their limitations. And they have the freedom to either give or not to give. So at this level, the most psychologically healthy, integrated level, the empath essentially recognizing that giving and helping is a conscious choice. It's not the default position. At this level of empath functioning as an authentic altruist, the empath also recognizes that in many instances, the best course of action is not to give, not to help, not to do anything, because in many cases, by intervening prematurely or not at the right time, or the person is not ready, the authentic altruist, being a realist and being very wise, recognizes that can have its own shortcomings and its own failings in terms of trying to help someone prematurely, or burning yourself out trying to help someone who actually is not receptive to being helped. Now, the key thing about the authentic realist, the empath functioning at this very high level, is that at this level, the empath is not attached to the outcome of their giving. At a spiritual level, the empath here recognizes that the act of giving is a free act. And what happens after I give is essentially, we could say, in God's hands. That the divine grace that permeates the universe will find its way to permeate into that person's life, to assist them, or it may not assist them, and that's fine. So the authentic altruist, the highly functioning empath, is not attached to a particular outcome, and therefore is not upset if their attempts at helping were unsuccessful or were not appreciated. It is a true act of divine grace, of divine giving. So the empath at this level has moved beyond the more narcissistic, egocentric tendency to see themselves as the center of attention when it comes to giving, and if that really they are the core driver or mechanism of helping and giving and change. So this is a person who's very grounded, very self-aware, and a person who has worked on developing an exquisite awareness of their dark side, of their shadow, of their potential for manipulation, of their potential for egocentricity, and by confronting that shadow, by not telling themselves lies, has been able to transcend that and reach this position of the authentic altruist. Now, I would say that this takes a lot of work to get to this position, and I think not only therapeutic work in a conventional sense of talking therapy, but I think most people who reach this level have in their own personal lives entered into some sort of spiritual path, religious path, something that moves them beyond the five senses. So the second level of functioning, which is at the average level of functioning for the empath, is another category that I've termed the proud helper. Now, this is an intermediate level of functioning. So the person is not pathologically unhealthy, but we can start to see cracks appear in the way that they're functioning, and they're potentially setting themselves up for a move toward codependency. So the proud helper is essentially what we described as a good person, giving, generous of heart. And this person does have the genuine capacity to help and assist others. The fly in the ointment, as we might say for them, is that they view themselves to be at the center of that helping, that it's all about them, it's all about what they can do, it's all about what the other person needs, and their very well-developed capacity to understand and to know what other people need before others need them. So there's an egocentricity about the proud helper that the proud helper is not really that aware of, and engages in self-deception that makes it more difficult for them to sort of pull back, to not be on autopilot helping mode. And at this level for the proud helper, it could be helping in various ways. It doesn't have to be anything major, helping someone with their studies, helping someone do their grocery shopping, calling a friend, but at times without the insight of the internal motivation, the potential for pride, that can have negative consequences in terms of the helping for them and for the person that's being helped. And sometimes we have to use the word helped in inverted commas here. So secretly, at this level of functioning, this person, the proud helper, very often becomes resentful when their attempts to help are not appreciated, are not reciprocated, but they have, I guess, enough cognitive, mental, psychological resources to suppress that. But often that can manifest in terms of passive-aggressive behavior, as I said, resentment, etc. Now, at this level of functioning, the person, I would say, has a moderate level of psychological awareness. So if they find themselves at this level, that they still have a capacity to pull back, they still have some ability to read the signals and cues while they're at this level. The third category of functioning for the empath, which is the most pathological and unhealthy, is the codependent category. And again, this is a continuum. So someone that's in the proud helper functioning here, a highly stressful relationship and a pathological abusive relationship with a narcissist can very quickly push them into codependency. And that's going to be a topic of an upcoming video. But in terms of describing the codependent, fundamentally, this is a person who has a pathological need to heal, to save, and to rescue another person. Whereas for the proud helper, the focus could have been on any number of people. With the codependent, there is an obsessive quality, a very pathological quality, where it's usually one special person in their lives. And as we know, that person often has the personality disorder, the drug addiction, is the abuser, is the controller. So the codependent becomes addicted into this pathological relationship where they take it upon themselves, which is quite grandiose if you think about it, to help, to heal, to rescue, to love the person out of their pathologies. So this is a person who routinely enters into dysfunctional, abusive, controlling relationships and develops an addictive, sort of compulsive quality to seeking out people to make as their project that they can help and heal. So at this level, the focus is on transforming an entire person, whereas at this level, it could be, helping the odd person here, they're helping out at your church, helping out at, in your local community. But in codependency, there is this singular focus on one individual with which the codependent in an intimate relationship has a lot of chemistry with. Now, at this level, the codependent can manifest a whole host of pathologies. They can, if they feel like the other person is going to abandon them, they can become highly irrational, fearful, threaten suicide, they can become violent. Often at the very severe end of the spectrum, the individual can develop all sorts of physical and psychosomatic illnesses, and develop a view of the world as this sort of persecutory place, and they're victimized. So hopefully in this video, by understanding these three categories and how these operate on a continuum, this helps to clarify what I mean in my videos when I'm talking about the empath. So in my videos up until now and into the future, I'm obviously not focusing too much on the authentic altruist when I'm describing pathology associated with the empath. I'm focusing on the continuum between the proud helper moving toward the codependent. In the future videos, I'm going to be expounding more upon this system and looking at the empath's downward spiral. What are the mechanisms that takes the empath from a proud helper to a codependent? And what are some of the ways that we can increase our awareness and insight around this particular issue? So I'm going to be working on a new series of videos focusing on this topic, and I hope to catch you very soon with a new video, God willing. I hope that this video was of help. I hope it's clarified all of the questions that are being asked about what do I mean by empath, don't I mean a codependent, I seem to be describing a codependent. Hopefully this answers some of those questions and queries and clarifies them into a coherent system that is both categorical in nature. There's three discrete categories, but also dimensional in nature. People can move between the categories. So I'll leave it there, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully next week. Take care. Bye-bye.